Hi, in today's class, we'll be saying how to prepare a business plan for farmer producer companies. So, what do you normally mean by a business plan? Why do you need a business plan? When we say we need a business plan, normally we think only when we need some investors to invest in our company, or if we are going to a bank for a financial assistance, only then most of the companies will prepare a business plan. Imagine I am going to some pilgrimage, some location, to some temple which is in another state. So before, and I am taking my family members also along with me to that temple. So before I start my travel, I'll have to know which bus am I going to take, till where is that going to go. From there, is am I supposed to take any cab or something, and then where will I stay, where will I eat, and again from there how do I finish all the darshan and how I get back to my house. So I have to plan all these things. Without planning, if I'm going to just start my journey along with my family members, we may end up in places where I am going to make my family members also feel very uncomfortable. Here I refer to family members in a company to the shareholders. If I am going to do some business, and if I am going to have some vision, and if I want to achieve that vision, first I should have a good roadmap how I am going to achieve that vision. My short term objectives, my long term objectives, what kind of product that I am going to deal with, what kind of customers that I am going to focus, how am I going to generate income, what kind of pricing that I'm going to have. Without any plan, if I'm going to just do my business, in that case, not only me, even my shareholders, whom I was referring to, the family members, will get affected. So business plan is become very important for any business. Okay, it is not only for farmer producer companies, it is for any type of a business. If you're going to do business, then a business plan is a must, is a basic requirement to start with. So now let's quickly see how do we prepare a business plan. So when I talk about business plan, there are basically 10 broad headings which we'll have to consider. When we are able to analyze and get answers to all these 10 broad headings, your business plan will come to a good conclusion. To start with, the first one is the executive summary. Even though it is the first one, first heading, we will be writing this in the last. Why? Because an executive summary is a summary of the remaining 9 parts what we are going to discuss now. Okay, so whenever you're going to prepare a business plan, you will have to have all these 10 ingredients in your business plan. Okay, however, executive summary, we will be seeing it in the last. So let's go to the second one, which is the general company description. So when I talk about the general company description, what all things that I'll have to talk here is, what is my mission statement? What is my vision statement? What do you normally refer to a mission? Mission is something which will answer to who you are, what you do, what type of customers you handle. So it basically tells about you, and it should be 4 to 5 lines maximum. A mission statement and a vision statement. Vision statement is something from today, in the next 20 years, in the next 30 years, what are you planning to look at yourself? What are you going to be in the next 20 years is your vision statement. So a mission statement which will tell what you do, who is your customer, what is your business, and also a vision statement. And the company's goals and objectives. What is your short-term objectives? What is your long-term objectives? What all activities are you going to do in this company? Your goals and objectives. So all these things should be a part of your business plan. And then who will be your customer? See, I cannot say as a whole all over India I'm going to, everyone are going to be my customer. Focusing initially on everyone would obviously be very difficult. So you will have to be very specific. Who is going to be your customer? What kind of age group persons they are going to be? What type of gender they are going to belong to? What location are they going to belong to? Who is, or are they the end customer, or are they the industrial customers? So what type of customers? Who will be your customer? Then comes what type of industry you belong to. So normally what do you refer, what is the difference between a company and an industry? A company basically refers to an individual entity, but industry refers to group of companies which are doing similar job, similar activity. So when group of we call it as an automobile industry, which all car automobile manufacturing companies will fall under automobile industry, pharmaceutical industry, okay, so agricultural industry. So normally industry refers to what type of industry that you are belonging to. Why are we actually explaining industry? Why we'll have to explain what type of industry that we are falling under? Every time we normally see budget, in the budget there will be some allocation of funds for certain industries, and there will be growth in certain industries. There will be for some foreign contributions that are coming to certain industry. All these things will normally influence the growth in that particular in that industry. When you're going to go for a loan, or when you're going to look for an investor, he will see whether the industry in which the company is working in is a profitable industry. Is there any growth perspective which is there in the industry? Only if your industry is having some growth perspective, they will be willing to contribute some money for you. So you will have to explain about your industry and how the growth levels are there, how the government support is there, a small description about the industry. And then you will have to explain what is your strengths and core competence. See, it is not that only you who are going to deal with this particular product. There are a lot of other companies which are already dealing with this particular product. In that case, what makes you different from them? What is your core strength? Okay, so you can say you're dealing with purely organic food, or you have the latest technologies with you. You cultivate with zero defects. So you can say something which would make you which would say you have more strength and competence in that particular field, which is making you to stand ahead more than the others. And the last one about the general description of the company is the legal form of ownership. If I'm going to do business, what type of entity that I'm going to have? Is it a sole proprietorship? Is it a partnership? Is it a limited liability company? Or is it a private limited company or a producer company? Why does this ownership play an important role? For me to understand as an investor in the company, for me to understand what type of responsibility and accountability these persons are going to take. If I am going to give the money, who will take responsibility? Who's the owner of the company? In order to understand what type of structure this company is having, legal form of ownership is very important. So all these particulars have to be mentioned in the main heading, which is general company description. Your vision and the mission statement, the company goals and the objectives, who will be the customers, describing the industry, what is the strength and core competence of you, and the legal form of ownership. And then coming to the next one is what type of products and services that you're going to deal with. I'll have to explain about the products and the services that I'm going to have. How will investors know what type of products you're going to do? If I'm going to a bank and saying give me a loan, I'm going to do these type of products. These type of products have good demand in the market, so I will be able to sell them very easily. So you should be able to explain what type of products and services that you're going to do. So when it comes to this, what you will normally explain is you will describe in depth of your products and the services with technical specification, drawings, photos, sales brochures, and any other bulk items. So it is not just by saying theoretically. If you have any diagrams, if you have any technical items to be shared along with it, along with the diagrams, pie charts, you'll be sharing even all these things. Second thing, what makes your product unique from the others? If everyone are selling mangoes, what makes your mango very unique? Why they should come and buy only from you? So you have to specifically say what makes you unique from others, and what is going to be the pricing and fee structure. Why pricing and fee structure is very important? I am going to give you money, and if for what rate are you going to do production and sell the product, how far you will be able to get profit, with that profit how you will be able to repay my loan. All these things I will have to see, for which pricing and fee structure is very important. What is the market rate? Are you going to have it a lesser rate, or are you going to have it a higher rate? Are you going to have it equally? If you're going to have it at a higher rate, how are you going to justify that? If you're going to have it for a lesser rate, how are you going to guarantee the quality of the product? If you're going to have the same product, how you can attract customers to you when everyone else are also doing the same product? So there are difficulty in all these situations. So you should have a justification. What makes you unique? How are you pricing this? What is the product? In depth explaining it along with photographs, drawings, brochures. So all these things are very important. This is the third one about the products and services. Coming to the next one, which is your marketing plan. When we talk about marketing plan, this is not something that can be done overnight. It would normally takes months and months of research that you will have to do. For example, every one of you know what do you mean by Xerox. When we talk about Xerox, we think it is a photocopy. But yes, Xerox is a company. So Xerox has become so famous, people stopped calling photocopies. They started to say, take one Xerox and come. But we refer to photocopies as Xerox. What happened? This Xerox company was very leading in this photocopy machines. In Japan, there was another company which was doing photocopy machinery, which was having more competitive advantage, attracting more customers towards themselves, and Xerox market shares were falling down. So Xerox wanted to understand, why is my shares not why my products are not as good as that company's product? How they are able to be more unique? How are they able to capture the market? So they have sent some persons to work in that company. Those persons worked in that company for 1-2 years. They understood what techniques they are going to use, and then they came back to Xerox again and they said, this is how that company is leading more than us. And Xerox adopted those techniques, and they have covered their defaults, and again they become the market leader. So this is all normally refers to the market research that they do. So another example, what normally used to happen that we've lively seen is, they do goat farming, and then after doing goat farming, they bring them to the market to sell them. As soon as they bring the goats down from the lorry, a few people who are there in the market, they will come and start saying, no, this is not good, this is not good, and one among themselves will come to buy, and they will sell it for a very less price. And when their goats are coming, again these 10 people will come and say, oh, this is a very good goat, very good quality. They will boost the rate for it, and they will sell it for a higher rate. So market people will do speculation in the market, making a particular product to go down, making a particular product to come up. So a lot of things will happen in the market. So you will have to do a complete market research and understand how you're going to market your particular product. Okay, so in this particular fourth heading, which is the marketing plan, what you're going to mainly explain about the market that you have identified to target. It is going to be only to your particular district or your state or all over India or the all over world. So what is the particular market that you have identified? And the second one is, do a complete market research. You have to understand about your competitors. The example I've told you some time back about Xerox. Okay, so about the competitors, about the customers, what is their taste and preferences, they keep changing all the time. See, at one particular point of time, everyone will become very health conscious. They say we will have only organic food, we need only these kind of fruits to eat. Okay, so the taste and preferences keeps changing as day by day. So you'll have to do a complete research. You should be updated with what are the taste and preferences of your customer. What are the existing products that are available in the market? How your product is going to share the pie along with it? Or is your product going to be a supplementary to the existing products? What is the current demand for those products? If there is no demand for the product and a lot of products are there, your product would not get sold. And your share in the market, if you're going to get into the market, what will be your share in the market? What would be the barriers to enter into the market? If you want to enter into the market, is anyone going to stop? Is there any regulatory compliance that has to be done, or the existing competitors will not let you to come inside the market? Okay, or is there a lot of cost that is involved to get into the market? So what are the barriers to enter into a market, and how will you overcome them? Because you will have to explain, yeah, barriers are there, but how am I going to overcome them? Okay, and after doing all this market research, and then I will decide a particular niche, a particular see, if you take Royal Enfield bikes, the type they manufacture their bikes is unique from the normal other bikes which a Honda company or a Hero company or a Yamaha company they do. Royal Enfield have a separate niche, they have a separate kind of a customer. So are you going to have any niche? What type of niche are you going to decide? What kind of strategy are you going to build? All these also will fall under marketing plan. And yes, of course, pricing, how are you going to price your products, and what kind of location are you going to have, what kind of locational advantages you are going to have, what kind of transportation facilities that particular location has got, what kind of hindrances are there in that location. So the proposed location also, because you have to make your products to be reached everywhere in that location. Okay, so the proposed location, and the last one is the distribution channel. Are you going to directly sell the particular product, or are you going to have intermediaries, or are you going to sell it to the wholesalers and they are going to sell it to the retailers? How are you going to, or you yourself going to have the outlet of the outlet for your product? How are you going to plan to market? You should understand all these things very clearly. Coming to the next point in preparing a business plan is operational plan. So when we talk about operational plans, so it normally refers to if I am going to do business, and specifically this particular point is more important for those companies which are into manufacturing sector. So if I am going to be into manufacturing sector, what type of operations that I am going to do, what kind of cost that is going to be involved, how much of manpower is required, how much of working hours is required, everything will be basically explained in this operational plan. Okay, so what the we will see point by point what are explained here. The first one is the production. Okay, second one is the location, third one is the operational cost, fourth one is working hours, then comes the legal requirement, then comes human resource, followed by inventory, and we'll talk about suppliers and also about the credit policy. So when we talk about production, what type of produce that we are going to produce, what type of quality is that going to have. Okay, so all these things we'll have to talk, and the particular location where we are going to plan to have our production unit. So location also plays a very important role. For example, if everyone know about Jamshedpur where the Tata Steel plant is located, but before they identified that particular location saying that in Jamshedpur let's have a steel plant, Tata and Sons, they were searching a lot for identifying a particular location to have their plant. They, in those days, they were searching, sitting on top of elephants. They were going to each and every place to identify, because they need a place where they get abundant of water and natural resources, good iron ore. So after they identify this particular location, are there any transport facility, is there waterways, airways, roadways? So because location plays a very important role when you're going to do your production activity. After you're going to produce your products, how are you going to take it to various places from that particular location? Is that located in a very good place? And there at times will be locational restrictions where your produce should not cause any hazardous relationship, hazard to the people who are living around it, should not be a problem to people who are living around that particular location. So considering all these things, location plays a very important role. Then comes the operational cost. One particular production cycle, how much money is required for you to complete one particular production cycle, right from procuring your inputs, then processing it, then packing it, then taking it to the final customer and getting the money from there, again buying your raw material. So for one particular production cycle, how much of cost it is involved. So what is the production cost? What kind of machineries that are required, what is the cost of the machineries that you're going to have, from where are you going to import the particular machineries. So the production cost you'll have to explain here. Then comes the working hours. For producing so much quintals of a particular product, you will have to take, for example, say 5 hours. So if you have more demand, then you may have to work for 10 hours or 14 hours. But then are you getting in compliance with the Factories Act again? So how much of working hours that you're going to normally have in your company, in order to understand how much of volume of produce that you're going to do. Then comes the legal requirement. uh, do you need any licenses for producing certain items? If you're handling with food products, then an FSSAI license is required. So if are you have you got any pollution clearance certificates? Have you registered under the state authorities? So a lot of legal requirements will be, have you got your GST registrations done? So there will be a lot of legal requirements. If you're going to import your product or export your products, then you will have to get an import and export code, the customs clearances that you have to get. So what are the legal requirements? Then comes the human resource. What type of skilled labor is required for you for this particular product? How many people you need to recruit to complete this production work? How much you're going to plan to automate in your particular production cycle? So you will have to plan on the human resource, and how you're going to manage them. Is there going to be a trade union in that? So about human resource also you will have to think over. Then comes the inventory. When we talk about the inventory, how are you going to plan the inventory? At what intervals are you going to order for the next inventory? What type of inventory that you're going to use? What type of quality of inventory that you're going to use? Then comes the suppliers, who are going to supply the products, who are going to supply those inventories to you. What kind of credit arrangements that you're going to have? Because as soon as you get a product from them, and if you're going to pay them for your production cycle, you may need some money which would get affected. So you will say him, we will pay you a credit period after 30 days or a 40 days. So what kind of credit arrangements that you're going to have with your suppliers? And what type of credit policy that you're going to have with your buyers? Similarly, as we are getting some credit time, our buyers also might get some credit time from us. So what is the credit policy that we are going to have with the suppliers? What kind of credit policy that we are going to have with our buyers? All these things are very important when we talk about operational plan. Then comes the next one, which is the management and organization. So when we talk about management and organization, even though there are good equipments that we've got with us, a very good location that we've seen, a good niche that we've selected, we are handling all advanced technology. If the management and the organization is not proper, the entire team will face losses. Okay, so we would have heard a lot of stories where on the opposite kingdom there are like lakhs and lakhs of soldiers, but then in this particular kingdom there are only thousands of soldiers. But then even the person who's having the thousands of soldiers is able to win the person who's having lakhs and lakhs of soldiers. How is all these things happening? Because there's a good leader. Okay, so when there's a good leader, when there's a good leadership, even though we have limited resources, limited manpower, limited finance facilities with us, we will be even still be able to compete with the other competitors. So management and leadership plays a very, very important role in running this company. If a person is going to give loan to a particular company, then the person who is going to give the loan, the banker, will first try to understand what type of management and organization these people are having. Who are the directors of the company? Who are the advisors of the company? Who are the attorneys of the company? Who is the accountant? Who is the insurance agent? Who are the consultants? Who are the mentors? Who are the key advisors? The bankers will see all these information in order to understand whether my money which I'm going to give to the company will be utilized in a proper way, or will it be misused. So I will have first try to understand, even though there are a lot of directors in the company, I will have to understand who will manage the day-to-day affairs of this company. And if there are more than 10 members in this particular company, then I will have to explain to my banker with the help of a flow chart, which will help me to understand what kind of hierarchy, which person is responsible for which kind of work. This will also help the company also to understand, for one particular work are we allocating more manpower, for some particular works is there no manpower. So when there are a lot of people who are employed, we will also be able to understand where more manpower is required, where unnecessarily more manpower is there, what is the responsibility of each and every person. If something goes wrong in this particular department, who has to be questioned. All these things will be useful when there's an organizational chart. Okay, and if you're seeking for loan or investment, include the resumes of the owners and the key employees of the company. You give some background about managing director, and then give a brief profile about him, whole time directors, and give a brief profile about him. So all these things will basically help to understand about your management and organizations. The next one that you'll have to explain here is personal financial statement. Even though companies are normally bankers or investors give loans to the company based on some collateral which company is giving from its asset, bankers will still feel comfortable to understand what is the personal financial statement of these key directors or key employees. Okay, because in order to understand what is their profile, are they capable of running this company? In case there's a default, still there will be a cushion that okay, the director's financial statement is also sound enough. Okay, so they will not cheat. In order to give more comfort to the investors or to the banker, the personal financial statements of the key employees and the directors is very much required. So this will include personal financial statement for each owner and major stockholder, showing the assets and liabilities he has held in the business, personal net worth of the directors. So you will normally give this in the form of affidavit, net worth declaration. Owners will often have to draw a personal assets to finance the business, and these statements will show that is available. Bankers and investors usually want this information as well. Okay, so this is the seventh thing that is required. Coming to the next one is the eighth point, which is startup expenses and capitalization. So this is the product that I am going to deal with. This is the market that I am going to do. I've done a market research. I've explained about my competitors. I've explained about the production cycle that is going to happen. I've explained about the personal financial capacity of each and every director. I've explained what is my organizational chart. Now I'm going to do this particular project. And for that particular project, what is going to be the startup expense and capitalization required? For example, I am going to have some processing unit for which I am going to buy big machineries. I need to have a warehouse. I need to have some cold storage facility. I need to have to import certain machineries from abroad. So in order to set up my organizational production unit, and in order to recruit people inside, in order to get some legal clearances, there will be obviously some cost that is incurred, and I am going for loan only to meet these costs. So I will have to give in detail, in breakup, what is going to be my startup cost and my capitalization. So all expenses before commencing the business should be listed down. Okay, normally whenever you're listing these kind of costs, you should always list more than whatever you estimated, because there will obviously be hidden cost which is involved. I will plan to do something say for 50 lakh rupees, but there might be some hidden costs which are involved, and when the process is getting completed, I may end up paying 65 lakhs rather than paying 50 lakhs. So there will obviously be hidden costs. When you, for example, you are doing a marriage in your house, and when you do your marriage in the house, you will think I will complete the marriage for 10 lakhs. But at the time the marriage gets over, you will be ending up paying somewhere around 15 to 16 lakhs. Why? Because you will not know where expenses will come. There will obviously be some hidden cost. So always you should estimate more than what you cost. Then allocate funds in case of contingency. In case there is any default, for example, I have kept this particular machinery or this particular warehouse. Suddenly, if something happens, or if the rain doesn't come well, agricultural industry is something more related to the nature. So if something by natural calamities, my production cycle doesn't happen properly, in that case, how am I going to face my losses? So there should be some funds which are allocated in case of few contingencies. And after giving in breakup all these things, I have to explain how I have arrived at that expense. How am I able to justify that this is going to be the expense? So I will have to explain what is going to be the expense. What is the justification for these expenses? And also I will have to explain how much I am going to contribute for this project, and how much of loan that I am going to get from the banker for this particular project. So promoter contribution and the banker's contribution. The next thing that we are going to see is the financial plan. So when we talk about financial plans, I will normally say this particular year I am going to have this as the profit, this much sales that I'm going to do, this much of expenses that I'm going to have, this much profit I'm going to arrive. In the next year, my sales is going to increase by 10% or 20%. My expense will also increase by so much percent. I'm going to have a profit so much. In the next year, third year, so I will have an estimate for the next 5 years. So I will basically, this will work on assumptions and projections, and each assumption should be justifiable. So based on this, I will make a financial plan. So when I talk about financial plan, there should be a estimate for profit and losses, that are profit and loss account, an estimate for the balance sheets that I'm going to have for the next 5 years, an estimate about the cash flow projections that I'm going to have, at what time I'm going to have the break-even calculation. What do you mean by break-even point? So now the banker is going to give me some loan. I'm also going to put some money. So there's some cost that is involved. And after that, my production cycle is going to start. And from the production cycle, some money is going to be generated. With that money, I will have to repay the loans that I've taken to the bank. And I will also have to take back the money what I've invested. And after that, there will be a point where there is no loss, no profit. That is called as the break-even point. And after that break-even point, everything is going to be my profit. Okay, at what tenure is it going to be in the first year itself, or is it going to be in the second year or in the third year? So I will have to explain what is the break-even point, and I will also have to use few ratios: my liquidity ratio, my profitability ratio, my debt equity ratio. So I will have to use all these ratios in order to explain my financial planning. So I will have to do projections. This you will be able to basically do with help of a chartered accountant or a financial expert who can help you in preparing the particular financial plan. Then comes is the appendices. When we talk about this, it normally refers from, now I have prepared all these points: my market research, my product analysis, my industry analysis, my competitors. So I've taken all these informations. So it will have a list of, so appendices normally refers to all those list of sources from where I've prepared this business plan. So this will include your brochures and advertising materials, your industry study, blueprints and plans, maps and photos of those locations, magazines and other articles, details relating to equipments owned to be purchased, copies of lease and contracts, letters which would support the future customers, any other material that is needed to support the assumptions that I have made in this particular plan, the market study, the market research that I've done, the list of assets that are valued for collateral for this particular loan. All these items, whichever is going to be a supporting document in preparing this business plan, everything will be there in the appendices. And coming to the last step is refining your plan. I've prepared all these things and I have to read the entire one again, refine it again, and based on the requirement why I have prepared for this. If I have prepared for a loan, my main focus will be from a loan perspective. If I'm looking for investors, my business plan will be from a business plan point of perspective. And if I'm going to go for loan, I'll have to clearly say this is what is the loan that I'm looking for. Why am I preparing this business plan? If a person is reading your business plan, he should be able to understand why are you giving this business plan to him. So he should be able to understand, okay, this is the amount of loan that you need. So it will help the person who is reading your business plan to understand. And if you remember, I said the executive summary, the first point we will discuss in the last. So we will go back to the executive summary again. So when you talk about executive summary, it should maximum be 1 to 2 pages. That's all, not more than that. It should crisply say what all that you discussed in the other 9 points will be there in the executive summary. Okay, so what will be your product, who will be your customer, who are the owners of the company, what do you think the future holds for you, what do you think how growth the industry is going to be, and if you're going to apply for the loan, clearly state how much of loan that you're going to have, how are you going to repay this particular loan, what is your plan in doing this business, all these things in a summary, because in detail anyways you're explaining in the business plan. A summary of these have to be required. And if you ask me, this particular business plan is not only going to be useful if you're going to go for a bank loan or for an investor, it will be useful for yourself to do a business, because any business which would start, you will know whether it is successful or not in after 5 years from the company starts. All those companies which are able to survive even after 5 years from the date of its incorporation and still do profits are really going to be successful farmer producer companies. So what are you going to do for these 5 years? And you should also have a vision, a long term objective. What is going to be your future if you're going to have a very good business plan that will help you for sure in designing your business. So with this, preparing a business plan for farmer producer companies is completed. If you have any doubts relating to this topic, you can mail me. Thank you.